of status that was accused of that. So everybody knew about it. It literally, not like your little culture, that little bum clock stuff you're doing with me. The whole world knew about it because the whole world knew about Michael Jackson. I mean, that's from Nebraska, that's from Wyoming, that's from Kansas. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. Now he had to deal with that. Every time you go outside, you know the whole world knows that you've been accused of being with children. And you got all these children suggestive situations. Just imagine how self-conscious you would be. Imagine that. You go buy something, you go to the stores, you like cool, you try to drive around in your car, but you still feel like everybody don't believe you. He driving around all the time. If he did, you got a hot car, or you've been driven around in a hot car, or even if you visit friends, like all the musicians and the athletes that he knew. Now you gotta look in their face after this. And the first thing they probably said was, well, Michael, I believe you. Michael, I know you didn't do it. But it's such an elephant in the room. How can you totally be free from, how can you? And some people just say, you know what, Michael, I personally will accept you no matter what. I'm pretty sure some people said that. I'm pretty sure. Mike, they probably said it just like that. Mike, well, look, I love you regardless. Regardless of how this went. Regardless of how this goes. But as a human being, you're still going to be self-conscious of whether people believe you. That's why, if you notice in this country, that's the choice of weapon that they use. They use pedophilia because if you're a thug these days, back in the day they try to paint black guys as savages, but that don't work now because now people actually name themselves like 21 Savage. I mean, so you can't use that savage image anymore. You can't use the wild Negro image anymore because people think that's cool now. Black and white people, none of everybody else. They think it's cool. So that image don't work. You can't paint him as a crazy killer because you can't even paint him as a serial killer. You got Candyman. Candyman was a black serial killer. Basically like a horror story guy. So you can't win that way. So the white racists think, well, man, all these images are now becoming cool. So how can I, even by the time of Michael Jackson, you had the gangbangers, you had the Crips and Bloods. So you couldn't paint him as a thug. So you got all these images, and nobody would believe Michael was a thug anyway. But you got all these images, and a satanic light bulb goes off. A pedophile, that's what's going to stick. The whole community will not like a person that does that, right? That's never appealed through the culture, right? There's never been a pedophile that really appealed, right? So everybody will hate a person that's a pedophile. That's why it's the perfect character assassin bullet, because every walk of life is going to hate you. That's why they use it. Because the first thing simple people want to do, Americans, well, if it wasn't true, then why are they saying it? Well, they're saying it to assassinate the person's character. Yeah, that would be the reason. And so what you think, well, they saying all that, it gotta be true. No, it don't. If they trying to assassinate your character, See, you're simple minded. If they would kill you, you don't think they assassinate your character? Man, come on, man. Let that resonate. If they would kill you, they proven it. The American government settled out of court for conspiring against Martin Luther King Jr. in October 1999. They gave his family $100. So they admitted to conspiring against him. So if they'll kill you for being great in America, you don't think they'll assassinate your character too? You don't think they got people that they didn't kill necessarily, but they assassinated their character? That's how they try to do Michael Jackson, man. And see, everybody's always in doubts. Well, you talk about Michael Jackson too long, it's stuck to his name. It's stuck to his name, man. It's unfortunate that happened. But if you talk about Michael Jackson long enough, if you have a 5-hour discussion, a regular discussion, not going into the mechanics or the wirings of music and nothing like that, like musicians do. If you're just having if everyday citizens are having a 5-hour conversation about Michael Jackson, they're not going to be talking about the music in too long. They might talk about their favorite songs, their favorite videos, favorite Michael looks, favorite Michael clothes, favorite Michael dance, how Michael has influenced artists, and then comes to talk about all these pedophilia accusations. It's just they knew what they were doing. They attached that to his name, and it's just coincidental that it's always the people on top. It's never the losers. I'm just being honest. It's never the losers. It's always somebody, right, that you find and esteem as great. That's the common denominator. The common denominator, and I would even say the remainder. The remainder on top is they're all great. They're all great, right? You know how you used to do division as far as math. And you always have the remainder on top. It's the remainder, right? It's been a while, kind of rusty on that. But on division, you always have the remainder on top. You divide, see how much you can divide the number into. You subtract it, and whatever you have left, you put that on top. Okay, if you do that, as far as all these people that you talk about, all these famous people that's on top, the remainder is always, they're great as a person, or they have talents or something. You don't never see them go after no losers. There's always something great about the person. And that's how you know, if you read between the lines, that it's character assassination. And it's an attempt to attack another African American. So for me, if it was me, on the strength of that, I would get bags. I would make sure that person taken care of, because it's more about us. It's more about, even if the person don't like us, it's more about the fact we ain't finna let this go down like this. And I don't halfway like this country anyway. I don't halfway like these people here anyway. And we ain't finna let this go down like this. It comes to a point where it's enough. Enough is enough. And see, the difference between me and the Michael Jackson and R. Kelly and Bill Cosby. The difference between me is I turned around and the Lord revealed to me that they the one messing with the children. So what do you say to that man? What do you say to me? Because my eyes done brightened up now. I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed now. Because I know that you are the one, not only are you doing it, you have the world record for doing it. Wow, good job. I wish Michael Jackson would have knew this, and he probably didn't, because it's nowhere. It's not common information, but I wish he would have knew it. It would have set him free. They got the lowest age of consent, a world record for it. At 7 years old, they got a world record for it. And what you gonna say to him? What you gonna say to Michael Jackson if you know that? Because they want you to look down on yourself. They want you to feel down on yourself. If I was Michael and I knew this, I'd be like, man, how are they gonna judge me? How is these people acting like this is such a big deal when y'all got the world record? You had it then. When they accused Michael Jackson, they already had the world record. The world record was in 1880. They already had it. How you gonna judge that man? And then you never had the age of consent at 18 in all 50 states. That's another boom. And up until my time, you got the age of consent under 18 in 40 states, and the Trump administration just passed the Trump administration just passed a law that allows 20 states to marry children at no minimum age. And you think I'm worried about what they're thinking about me? You think I'm worried about that? Bruh, I am not worried about that. If you knew what I knew, yeah, how you gonna judge me? Better to say, how you gonna make me feel bad about myself and you sitting up with these laws? You can't be serious. I'm about to throw a party. I'm about to throw a party, bruh. Bruh, I'm about to throw a party. These people sitting up here with all the world record. Just so happened in the country that I live in that accuse me, you sitting up here with the world record. See, I got you. And you know why I think I got you? Because I'm closer to God than, I'm not judging, but I'm closer to God than most of these guys that you had in the past, that you dealt with in the past. I'm really close to God for real. And I put a 12 gauge to your chest through your laws, and I blew your chest off, man. There ain't nothing you can say. What you gonna say? What Joe Biden gonna say about it? 44 states marrying children? What he gonna say? The age of consent under 18 in 40 states? What you gonna say? For the black community that played around with me, what you gonna say? When you got the age of consent in your country that you so love and want to defend, and you're really submitted to white America, and they'll never treat you equal, what you gonna say? All the games you played, what are you gonna say now that you know 44 states is marrying children when you've been joining them? Yeah, you don't act like you've been rocking with me the whole time, bruh. Come on, keep it 100. You was over there with them. You was over there playing games just like they was. I know this. You was doing it too. And you living in the country with 44 states marrying children. You ignorant as can be. Oh, come on. You thought I was going to leave you out? Man, you should know better than that. I'm just like Papa. I'm going to come with this whooping when you least expect it. That's what you do to your children. You calm down so you don't beat their brains out. I'll just be honest. You calm down. That's why a lot of kids didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know I got a whooping later because my parents don't want to whoop me out of anger. See, that's how my parents were. They didn't want to whoop me out of anger. But that don't mean you ain't going to still get your whooping. They going to calm down and whoop you off the technicality. That's what I had to do with you. I calmed down. After all you did, I could have beat your brains out. I could have beat you senseless. When you sitting up here with 44 states marrying children. When you got the age of consent under 18 in 40 states. When your favorite leaders, including Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Jesse Jackson, none of them told you about these laws. The world record was in the time of Martin Luther King Jr. The world record was in the time of Malcolm X time. The world record was in the time of Al Sharpton and Obama. They didn't never tell you that. They could have easily threw that information in there. They ain't never tell you. Malcolm X was airing out members of the Nation of Islam. Why couldn't he throw out the fact that the American government has passed the laws, has the world record? I'm sure he could have studied and found it somewhere in some books. Why he didn't do it? Why all your favorite rappers ain't do it? All the people you respect and love. All of them. None of them told you none of these laws. And here's the punchline. If you think that, well, the world record is not substantial enough for leaders like Malcolm X and MLK to talk about, then what about the age of consent never being at 18 in all 50 states? That was in the times of MLK. That was in the times of Malcolm X. That was in the time of Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. That was in their time. So why couldn't they tell you that too? Why couldn't they tell you the age of consent was under 18? And not, I don't know what it was as far as 40 states, but I do know that the age of consent has never been at 18 in all 50 states, ever. And before their time, they already had the world record, just in case you think the American community had some noble purity towards children. They never did. You could start from 1880 with the age of consent being being at 7 years old. They was having sex with 7 years old girls in the state of Delaware. I'm pretty sure it was girls they were going after. In the state of Delaware in 1880, the age of consent was at 7 years old. All they had to do, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, they could have hit you with the world record, the age of consent at 7 years old in 1880 in the state of Delaware, and that the age of consent has never been at 18 in all 50 states. And they probably could have ended this country. We'll never know, will we? But what we do know is it wasn't revealed. No one revealed this. And you sitting up playing around me when none of your leaders revealed this. You sitting up thinking you can play with me and challenge me and you got some type of game you can play with me. How? And you putting children in front of me playing games, you trying to see where I'm at? You challenging me with kids? When you totally ignorant to your whole country and your leaders that you so love and cherish never revealed it to you. They never did. And what, you mad at me about that? You mad at me because I told you that? It is what it is, bro. I revealed something that none of them revealed. And it's nothing more important than your own flesh and blood family, right? Anything more important? Is the money more important than your family and your kids? Is the money more important than your kids? Is the cars more important than your kids? Is the women more important than your kids? And for women, is the men more important than your kids? Nothing is more important than your kids, right? So this is the most important issue that I revealed. I know. Some of y'all slow, but you're going to get it. This is up there on the top of your value system. There's nothing more important. Yet you want to downgrade it like it's not a big deal. But there's nothing in your life more important than your children. There's nothing. So how is it downgraded? What I'm talking about, when I'm telling you 44 states is married children. How can you downgrade it? Huh? When they are everything to you. They're your everything. So how can you downgrade it? You can't. You can't downgrade it. It's convenient for you to, because you're trying to downgrade it because I'm talking about it. If it was anybody else, you'd be all over it. Oh, because it's me and you're losing and you done lost, and now you got COVID in the country, and you got monkeypox, and you got mass shootings everywhere. You just want to be done with it altogether. Well, hey, I don't want to be done with it altogether. I'm going to keep hammering on it and hammering on it and hammering on it. I'm sorry it came to this because you played with my life. You included. See, you thought, a lot of black people thought, oh, we're going to crucify him like Jesus. Yeah, they did, man. Yes, they did. They thought this way. This is how they was moving. And then, come to find out, first of all, you realize God loved me because he attacked the whole country got tore up by COVID. You realize that. And then, not too much longer, the same year actually, that's when I first started talking to you about the age of consent being under 18 the age of consent, when I first started, the age of consent in all states. That's how I just started it. I raveled them off. You can look up the videos. I've been doing this over 2 years. Telling me I ain't about it. That's a long time to have this information. Yeah, this is like some breaking news, revolution information. You don't want to acknowledge it as that though, but it is. Because like I told you, the money, the fame, the cars, the men and the women, the jewelry, the weed, the alcohol, the cocaine, the pills, the syrup, is nothing in your life, if you are a good person, that is comparable to the love that you have for your children. And so for you to ignore this is to ignore your children. I'm going to say it again. For you to ignore this is how God looking at it. Because you the same people sitting up hooping and hollering about what I was doing. You leaving that part out. You're not thinking about that. You was hooping and hollering, all this crazy stuff, and black people, you were doing it too. You were playing psychological war games with your children, using them in what I call pedophilia entrapment operations, where you're using children to entrap a certain character of an individual as being a pedophile. So you'll send a child into a store, but the real reason you're doing it is because you're trying to trigger that person to into believing or to be or to bring out or to think to bring out an energy of a pedophile. You sending them in there to trigger their minds so that people will see around that person, ooh, that's a pedophile. In other words, you're throwing children out there as bait to watch the body language of the person to see if you can find that they're a pedophile. Hey, I'm sorry you went by what other people said. I'm sorry you did that. But that's your mistake, not mine. And I shouldn't have to pay for it. And now that you've done what you've done, you owe me. So if you think you don't, you do too. If you think it's just white America, no. They sitting back waiting for me to acknowledge that you're a part of it too. I know that they're a part of it. I know that. I've been knew it. And that's why you're all suffering equally. And you all got to get my bag equally. Like I didn't know black people were doing that too. They were sending children in the stores, playing games with the children, had them all everywhere. You made a big circus of things. Now it's egg on your face because now I revealed 44 states is marrying children. Now what you gonna say? What you gonna do now? When you find out under the Trump administration, they just passed a law that allows 20 states, less than 3 years ago, they passed a law that allowed 20 states to marry children at any age. For all the black people, what you gonna say now? Well, now you know you're subject to a pedophile country. Every dollar you get and every dollar I get from this country is under a pedophile government. Whether you accept it or not, these are laws passed by your government, not laws passed by the ghetto, not laws passed by rednecks. These are laws passed by your government that are on paper inside the government systems. They're somewhere in the government libraries or books of documents. Even the world record, with the age of consent of the age of consent being at 7 in the state of Delaware in 1880. That's somewhere in the book, somewhere. As far as the records. Now, how you feel about being submitted to that? How you feel about that? I know it hurts, it burns, don't it? Well, now you see how I feel. Now you see what it feels like to be dealing with this image, this pedophilia image, because it's on you now. Oh, it's solid too. That's solid, buddy. You can't get that off. And see, people were telling me, you can't outlive that. Guys will holler. A homeless man hollered at me on the streets because they told him about it. He said, you can't outlive that. How about now? Wherever that homeless man is in San Francisco, if you're still alive, how about now? How about now? Yeah, that's what masters do. We overcome and we defeat our enemies. Now I'm revealing. Now, not only did I overcome because they got COVID and they got all these sickness and everything they got. Not only that. How about now, homeless man in San Francisco? 40 states with the age of consent under 18. How about now? Found out they got 44 states marrying children. How about now? How about now when you got the Trump administration, which you was under when you said that, which was over your country when you said that, they passed a law that you didn't know about at the age of consent being under 20 states marrying children at any age, in any age. You thought I couldn't overcome, huh? Well, it looked like I just did. It looked like I just did, and I'm looking good and feeling good.